Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Coming on soon. John Agnon, good morning. How are you? I see Chi Energy Coach. Let us know where you're joining us from. Drew Rimatab. I do not know where you're joining us from, but let us know. Discrespo, Basisar, Lexi Alexander. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, we've been having, I had to run around and reset up where we were going to talk today. There's been some interesting rains coming in and affecting lots of stuff. But here we are. So instead of my usual delicate cup of tea, I'm having a mason jar of protein drink. What are you having this morning? Or this afternoon, or this evening, or wherever you are? Listen, I thought, well, it kind of came to me. Jillian shared something with me a couple days ago. And it was some insights from Carl Jung, actually. Some insights from Carl Jung. Yes, Amsterdam. Apparently we are giving a reconnective healing training program coming up there soon that I just found out about. Anyway, because I'm not always the first to be notified. No, really, because our training programs are put on by Guillermo Poli and his wonderful team, Reconnective Academy International. So as they arrange it and I get to find out. Although I wouldn't have minded of coming to this one. I haven't been to Amsterdam for a while. But we'll see. Maybe Richard and I will set something up for another visit. So, something has been seeming something became very insightful in listening to this particular, or watching this Carl Jung video, and listening to what was being said. And Jillian and I both could see very clear ways in which aspects of it, good aspects of it, were showing up in our lives. And I was seeing ways in which it had been showing up in my life for a long time. So I'm just going to share from me a little bit. I have a funny feeling that one or two of you might find a part that might apply to you. So if you do, would love it if you'd put in some comments throughout this in the chat. Let us know, what's familiar, what's not familiar, what seems strange, almost, kind of, sort of, and yeah, most definitely. Okay? Carl was speaking about the concept of after an awakening, let's say after an awakening of the soul, where we suddenly feel that everything could be wow and big and huge. There can actually be a turning down of the seeming volume of life. Now, I believe that this is very important because this really does relate to who we are, how we are, our own healing, as well as the healings that we facilitate. It's kind of key here. Here's how it showed up for me before I actually was giving this any of the thoughts that I have been this past few days or so. When reconnective healing first showed up, when the healing just like burst into my awareness, my recognition, no matter how we describe real healing, and I mean real healing for real people, healing that just is, has nothing to do with what you're doing or trying to do or intending to do or ways you're going about it or steps or procedures. No, real healing, because real healing just is. There it is. Surprise, here I am. Got a seat at the table for dinner for me, because I'm here. It was such a powerful presentation of truth that I was beyond words inspired. But here's the thing. I thought that inspiration would simply be forever. How could it ever leave? You know, there was nothing that I had ever experienced near that. So here's this inspiration, meaning, purpose, whatever words we attempt to use to convey what this concept is. And I'm sure many of you have had this, a sudden awakening to truth, essence, something powerful beyond words. And I thought I'd be inspired by this forever. I knew I would be. I mean, there was no greater high than facilitating healings. When people said you'd be teaching the healing, I said, nope, just want to do this. I mean, there it was. But here's the creepy thing. Creepy, there's an educated word, right? Here's the unusual thing. I noticed that as I was facilitating the healings, and I'm going to share with you things that I don't fully understand, but I'm going to share it, okay? And you may share some insights about it with me. I started noticing sometimes during the sessions that I'd find myself a little yawning or just a little sleepy, a little less than, wow, present. I wasn't really thrilled with that, you know, and I noticed that tended to be happening oftentimes as I was facilitating multiple healings a day. In particular, when I was facilitating a healing on someone for the second or third time, there was some compulsion that was simply not disruptible that came about when I facilitated mostly the first time healing on the first person. It's kind of what I referred to, and of course, you know, since I already said creepy, I might as well say this too, which has nothing to do with creepy, but it's possibly less than standard professional language around healing, but I think you'll get what I mean. It was something that felt like the concept of fresh meat, you know? Oh boy, new person, first time, fresh meat. And I was so there. And the second time it was just a little less compelling. And the third, often times just a little less compelling. Now, it wasn't as if I weren't there and giving my all from intention. But part of me inside was going, next, I want to try someone new. Next, I want to try someone new. Now, the way I just said it, I said it that way intentionally because we could hear ego in the way I just said it. But you see, it wasn't that. That's not the way I was thinking about it. It wasn't thought at all. There's a knowingness, a relationship. Something in a communication of first time that was saying, this is the kiss. It's like your first kiss. Now, doesn't mean your first kiss in your entire life. Obviously, you know, we meet and date other people. We have many first kisses. Sometimes the second and third kiss isn't exactly the same, and it's still gorgeous and wonderful. So maybe I'll compare it with that a little bit for you. I think that's a good way to make an analogy of it. But as time was going on, it almost felt as if the sense of meaning was vanishing. Now, what I'm sharing with you, I'm really sharing for the first time. So I might go back at this, look at this, say, you know, I don't think I'd really say it that way. That's not really conveying exactly what I want to convey. But in many ways it is. So find how it communicates with you. Let's just let it be in a very beautiful, open way without judgment or evaluation, just exploration. The sense of meaning seemed to vanish. I stopped questioning. The feeling of care was just a little different. Not less, not more, just a little different in presence. You know, Jillian and I went to visit a friend in the hospital a couple nights ago. She was in a rather good-sized car accident and not in great shape, and some fractures and other things, and in a hospital bed, watched carefully. And went into the room, and Jillian sat down on the sofa in there and relaxed after we spoke with the woman for a while, and she just felt comfortable because she'd not met me before. She just knew me as Jillian's partner. And I started to facilitate a healing session for her, and she came in and out and in and out, and sometimes she'd wake up and go, you know, look around, where am I? And other times she'd open her eyes and say, Eric. I was kind of surprised that she even remembered my name in the drug state that she was in. And her eyes would move and her body would respond, not big, giant registers, but there was a feeling within me, a felt knowingness, a sensation, the way it just felt inside, the way it felt inside my hands, there was just a knowingness of connectivity, of connection. And it was an amazing experience for her also. But I was thinking, wow, it has been a very long time. It's been a very long time since I've had that experience, that feeling. When people would call to have reconnective healing sessions and want to come into my office, sometimes they'd give the reason of, oh, it sounds like fun, I just want to feel it. No, I just want one from you. All these surface reasons or intentions behind their registering, setting up for a healing session. It wasn't communicating with my being because it was, I don't know, it wasn't because there was real presence. And I don't know how to define this. It's not fair for me to define what is real for someone else. But it's just, oh, I just want to have one with you. Thought it would be fun, want to set some up. It just seems so light. And you see, healing is not about that kind of light. Healing has an amazing depth which deserves to be recognized and experienced, even if not cerebrally, but still experienced. And I got to re-experience that the other night. You know what I really got to re-experience? Me. I got to re-experience who I am. For me. It's very, very, very important. When you facilitate healing, as we allow ourselves, we get to experience the me that we are, the I am. The I am, we talk about the I am all the time, but we're so used to hearing the expression the I am, that it gets treated lightly, you know, like love on a greeting card. Love, everything's love. I know, but you know, can we really experience that? Are we willing to pause, explore, receive the experiential? See, this is healing. It's our healing. It's the other person's healing, but it's your healing. It's mine. So I sort of stopped some of the exploration. The healing became kind of rote and automatic. It worked. And it was wonderful, but it was not bringing sustenance to my heart, to my being. I think this is really, I know this is really, really, really key. It was as if the awakening of reconnective healing, and again, I'm using a lot of these words and thoughts because the way it was described and spoken of by Carl Jung, it was very natural, very real, and I want to share, and I'm sharing these with you with some of his word choice because it helped reopen things for me, and I'm doing that in the hopes that it may open and reopen things for you. So that's why I'm using a lot of this wording. I think it's very important that we credit people with words, thoughts, and ideas that we share. I'm honored to have the gift to be able to share this. And I think it's important that we credit who we're sharing, not try to take credit for someone else's words, thoughts, and insights. Anyhow, let's just say that awakening, that discovery of healing, true healing, when it just showed up, tapped me on the shoulder, said, here I am, move over. Your life is now different. It kind of emptied me. I became, in a way, without ego, free of ego. Judgment, situations, I was finding myself simply sitting back and observing without offering opinion. That was very not me. That had nothing to do with anything I read or tried to get to. It just was, you know. Woke up one day and I was different. There I was. But as Carl Jung puts it, he says, ego isn't gone. Now think about this for a while. Your ego isn't gone. But it's a little bit confused. It's sort of lost its map. It's as if I were, and I was, as I had let go of something, but hadn't found my new path yet. Let go of the ego, but hadn't found my true path yet. And somewhere in there I was discovering, well, we're infinite beings, so I could say rediscovering if we'd like, but let's not get semantic on words because we get so involved in using just the right language, just the right words, that we lose the feel and the meaning. You know, sometimes let it fly out. Maybe it's not exactly the right word. We can go back and fix it later. So, the process of becoming or recognizing my authentic self And in that emptiness, I had lost my motivation. That was weird, you see. How did reconnective healing become so well known? See, I don't have that motivation now any longer. I don't feel that need any longer. That's why I'm allowing it to sit. Reconnective healing became so well known because I was compelled. I would knock on doors. I would talk to people about it. Television interviews were happening. Research was happening. I was sharing. I felt, knew, whatever word we want, this was so important to get out to the world, and it is, and it was. But it didn't mean that I had to be the delivery system. My ego, my personality didn't need to be that delivery system. That loss of motivation may very well have been my spiritual upgrade, biggest one up until then. See, as I said, I thought awakening would lighten me up, not let me feel empty-ish. But you see, it wasn't being lost. It was as Carl puts it, a sacred pause. Now, here's the funny thing about a sacred pause. We don't always want that. We don't always like that. Our ego does not like that. Our ego wants to go, what's next, what's next, what's next? The world is rushing around us. People are succeeding this way, that way. Their bank accounts are getting larger, and we think we should be going that way. And I couldn't really move, had no desire except to be in that sacred pause, which I didn't even think of it that way. It's a little different conversation than we usually have, isn't it? But kind of important, more than kind of. See, most of our lives, our motivation comes from the ego, the persona, a desire often to want to prove ourselves, to be seen, to be recognized. And how do we do that? Well, often we hide behind words saying the opposite. It's not important. It's not for me. It's not my ego. I don't need to be seen. I don't need to be recognized. But the truth is, that's where we're going with it anyway. And we're just giving ourselves more freedom to do that by saying that we're not and thinking that no one sees through that. The most important person who sees through that is us. And we do. So there wasn't a need to prove myself. This awakening stripped me of the part of me that had all of these goals. My old goals didn't fit me any longer. Thank you, Carl Jung, for expressing this so clearly and in a way that's allowing me to wake up to this. Carl Jung says, it's like a character in a play who stepped off stage and now can't figure out their lines. That was actually happening to me. One day I was giving a presentation. I always speak naturally. It always flows, never have to think about it, anything else. And I kept getting lost. I couldn't find where I was. I couldn't bring it back. And it had been like that after that for a long time. Like a character in a play who steps off stage, as Carl says, and now can't figure out your lines. Here's what I find really powerful. Walter says, is it okay to ask what kind of goals? I'm just saying goals of moving forward in ways that we view as moving towards success, whatever you consider success. Anyway, listen to this. I didn't lose my drive. I have to say this at least 3 times because we really want us to hear it. I didn't lose my drive. I outgrew the fuel that was powering it. Have you ever wanted to have more drive and you just couldn't get it? Well, that's what was going on with me. I wanted to have more drive. I wanted to, which part of me wanted to? My personality, obviously. I didn't lose the drive. There are many parts of me that still wanted to move there, but I outgrew the fuel that was powering it, so I really couldn't do it. Our self, the bigger self, the I am, doesn't care about status. Doesn't care about ego-based, fake. The self wants us to live. And again, Carl, thank you for these words, because the words themselves are just so real and so natural, not so, old new agey woo-woo. The self, the greater self, wants to live through you. The greater self wants to live through you and bring, you could say, that which we would consider an out there of heaven into our spiritual body. Not just the physical, but into our spiritual body. It's an interesting concept. Some of his thoughts may not, some of his word choice may not be in complete alignment with the way we speak or think about things today, but just move beyond it. What was he trying to say? Not did he say it correctly or not. Wants to bring heaven into our spiritual body, which, yes, we know is already there, but yet there's something about that. In a lot of spiritual approaches today, related around non-duality and other offshoots, there is an ability, that might not be the best word either, a tendency often to fall into a path of what's often called spiritual bypassing, Nothing matters. It's all the same thing. Nothing really makes a difference. Just be in the fun and the beauty of the perfect healing frequencies. I think we're here to experience a little more than nothing matters, than spiritual bypassing. But I did find, and I think we will find that our roles are becoming, at least mine was, redefined. And I found myself, and I hope that this is homage. I apologize for using so much of Carl Jung's language, but he explains it so perfectly, and I could have taken a lot of time to try to reword it, but why? I found myself sitting in silence, stillness, sort of unable to even explain it or explain myself to this while, as I said earlier, watching the world rushing by. Feeling lost, but I wasn't lost. Kind of an in-between. I moved from my ego-driven striving to sort of a soul level stillness. Now, I'm not in love with using that word soul level stillness because we all think we know what that means, and then we decide that we're going to ohm our way into a soul level stillness. It's not something we can intend. Can't intend it. Oh yeah, I know how to find it. I just breathe this way. No, you can't find it. There's no looking for it. It shows up. So it was easy to view this stillness as a laziness. View this pause as paralysis, to be judging myself. But Carl says this is a moment of gold. Doesn't feel like gold when something inside of you is going, go ahead, Eric. You've been given this gift of reconnective healing. Push it forward. Bring it to the world. Do this. Do this. Why are you sitting there doing nothing? Why is it that you're not motivated to rush and drive and So Carl spoke about a caterpillar going into a cocoon. I know we've heard different kinds of analogies around this, but he spoke about a caterpillar going into the cocoon and being in it for a little bit. And before it becomes a butterfly and comes out, the state just changes into a state of, he called it goo. I mean, there's no better word. It's just goo. And we tend to feel like, I'm just in goo. Goo doesn't get anything done. Goo isn't doing anything. I'm sitting there in goo. And viewing it as failure, but it's not failing. It's not, this is one of my favorite words Carl Jung uses. It's not failure, it is metabolizing. I was in that goo, I was metabolizing. There's a stillness, we need to be in it. Most of life's ego, the ego was coming from the persona. We talked about that. But I wanted to drive, but my access to drive had been placed on pause and not by me intentionally. Okay? My access to drive was stalled, you could say on purpose, but not by me, not by my personality anyway, not by my persona. And as this goo helps us move and allows us this metabolizing into a butterfly, when we're there, there's no more anxiety, no more drive to perform, to push. Something new is just starting to appear. There's a quieter inner pull, as Carl puts it. He says a quieter inner pull, not a return to your old life, but to start a new one, living in a place deeper than your perimeter. Gone is the hustling, the moving, the pushing, led by our fear of missing out. And I'm finding quietly here in home as I write notes and put things down. I don't even quite know how or whatever. I've got so many notes in so many places. If I were, which I do plan to at some point, to put together a book, I really have to start moving things around like a 1,500 piece jigsaw puzzle. But I'm drawn to create even when no one is watching. I'm drawn to do what is true for me, not what's offered for me, even if it just looks good financially. No. Only what feels honest. This is allowing me to accomplish so much more than pushing and my ego could ever do. As Carl Jung puts it, the old fire burns down, so that you may find the deeper flame behind it, not one that flickers and moves around with the breeze. I'm no longer, which I have been doing for a long time, chasing clarity and understanding. Instead, I'm just recognizing it. I'm being called instead of looking to follow a plan. Creating, serving, healing, because it's me. It's not about getting back to my old motivation. It's about, as he puts it, discovering a new one. So this is leading me to create, to serve, to heal, because it's me. So after listening to this, after sharing with me, after allowing me the space to share this with you, I ask you, what is you? This is leading me to create, to serve, to heal, because it's me. What is you? What are you? Who are you? So I hope I've been able to share some insights that you appreciate. Listen, I do see you, Silka and Jan, wanting to come on and talk, but I'm sorry, but I didn't find a pausing place in which to do it, and now I'm going to have to get ready to reset up for Solomon Speaks in half an hour. But come join us on Solomon Speaks if you like. It'll be on in half an hour. There's a link for it in here. It's free. It's on Zoom. Rhonda, the artist, says, a feather on the beach of God. Yeah. Yes, aren't we all that? A feather in the beach of God. You are that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to being with you again next Wednesday, same time, same place, and in seeing a lot of you now in maybe about 28 and a half minutes for Solomon Speaks. You don't have to have the book or have read the book. Just come join. We'll talk. We'll chat. And for you who were in the request box who wanted to speak, next Wednesday I'll try and do this again. Okay? And or during Solomon Speaks, if some of these thoughts come up for you, you can ask them then, and we may address a little bit of that too. Okay? Jillian is just wonderful with flowing through this concept and sharing it and understanding it. And I don't know that it's anything that any of us, it's not have black and white answers to. It's simply our willingness to look and discover. Okay, so loved you all. See you in 28 minutes or next week or both. Bye for now.